Doggy is in the house. The marvelous Mr. Louis Riddick, Mr. Chippendale's looking all professional today. And, of course, my man, Gerald McCoy. By the way, it's good to see y'all. Great job yesterday.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
see if there's consistency.
It.
You demand consistency on the playing field. We demand consistency here at the desk. Now, before I continue with this show, it's important that I have my rules. When I'm hosting, there are rules and regulations that everybody following. All right? Move out the way. Speak when spoken to. Do you understand that, Louis Riddick? Because you can be a bit disobedient, okay? And we know how he can be, okay? Gerald, you're new. You're a newbie. You understand? You gotta take whatever. You gotta take whatever. All right?
I got you. I've been a
no
rookie before.
cussing, doggy. Watch your mouth. Be respectful. You can address me as Stephen A. or Mr. Stephen A. Either one works. Either one works. Rookie. Okay, watch your mouth, right? By the way, you know the fluid? You know how things say that fluid?
You can't use that?
Nobody can use that but me. I'm the only one that's allowed to say it's fluid. Nobody but me.
We really got rules here.
That's right. These are rules.
We're going over rules.
And last but not least, especially you, Doggy, with your rude expressions. It's not just your mouth, your facial expressions and all of that. Oh, come on. None of that. You understand?
You go with shoes in his pants, Louis. This guy's a pain in the neck.
we literally, let's see, I started working here in 2013, doing old. We're like going through rules now?
That's right. Because I'm hosting. Let's get to it right now.
All right.
You delayed me by 30 seconds.
My bad, man.
Aaron Rodgers. Let's get to it.
All right.
Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers will be looking to defend their AFC North title this season as training camps are now underway across the National Football League. New head coach Mike McCarthy will look to continue a 22-year streak of non-losing seasons for Pittsburgh as he reunites with Rodgers, who he coached in Green Bay for 13 seasons, all right? Just so y'all know, the Steelers are not favored to win their division. However, that honor belongs to the Ravens, who are one of two odds-on division favorites, according to DraftKings, along with the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East. Since he's second in the AFC North, odds at around 2-1. Pittsburgh is at around 5-1. Louis Riddick, Gerald McCoy, y'all are here. We're going to start off with you, Louis Riddick. Do you believe Pittsburgh will finish third in the AFC North like their odds indicate?
Yeah, I think it's a very high probability. And I think the reason why is for one reason. Look, both of these teams at the very top, when you're talking about Baltimore and you're talking about Cincinnati as far as being favorites, you understand, that they have strengths, they have weaknesses, but the two positions that you don't question on both of those football teams is quarterback. Those are the positions you don't question, especially as long as Joe Burrow stays healthy. You don't question it. In Baltimore, Lamar, he stays healthy, you don't question it. In Pittsburgh, here's the interesting thing about them. They are building a powerhouse, I believe, especially along their line of scrimmage on the offensive side of the football, where these young cats, once they all come together, this team is going to be set up for the future. They have good running backs. They have good compatibility and diversification as far as their wide receivers are concerned, and they're good at tight end. It's the quarterback situation, quite honestly, that as good as Aaron Rodgers has been, would you really take him over Joe? Would you take him over Lamar? No, you wouldn't. You move to the defensive side. Baltimore, pass rush. That is the thing that they have to have answers for. They have playmakers second level, especially in the middle. They have some young pieces in the secondary, especially at safety. Cincinnati, revamped their defensive line. Linebacker is the issue. The mistakes as far as the communication piece on their defense. Look, those guys are going to be now in their second years. I think that they're going to be much better on the defensive side of the football. Pittsburgh, same thing. I think what I'm getting at is this. It's the quarterbacks, I think, is really what's going to be the difference maker here.
Okay.
Because both of these teams have their strengths and weaknesses that can kind of cancel one another out. But look, Aaron's just not on Lamar's level. He's not on Joe's level at this point. That's why you have to favor those two.
Excellent breakdown. Just be quicker. You're taking too long.
Well, it's a lot of information, man. That's a lot of information.
We're getting to you right now. We're getting to you right now before we get to Doggy. I'll say this to you, Gerald McCoy. I'm thinking about their defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham. He's new, but you got to remember his 3 stops: Dolphins, Giants, Raiders. It was pretty average. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm like, you got a new defensive coordinator that Mike McCarthy picked. That defense was like 26 last year, despite the money that they paid. That's my concern about the Pittsburgh Steelers. What's yours?
For me, I feel like sitting right at 3 is perfect for them because you have the top 2 teams that should be the top 2 teams. By the way, I believe the Cincinnati Bengals is the team to beat in that division.
Wow.
Simply because look at the other 3 teams, all new head coaches. And I think about back to the Bucs. When they got Tom Brady, they had Bruce Arians, new head coach. They had the talent in place. But what they didn't have is what the Saints had, an established quarterback that has been with that head coach. And if you look at how that season went, it took them time to get going. The Saints won that division. Yes. The Bucs ended up winning the Super Bowl, but the division winner was the Saints because it took the Bucs too much time. So if you sit here and look at where the Pittsburgh Steelers sit, at 3, it's perfect because the Cleveland Browns have a first-time head coach in Todd Monken, and they're trying to figure out the quarterback position. So they went young, and they have a first-time head coach. I feel like the Steelers can be third just off that alone.
Yep. Well, number one, Pittsburgh is only 8.5. Vegas over/under, which to me is too low, and Cincinnati is 10.5 over/under.
You think it's too high?
Way too high. That's not a winning culture. They don't win. Burrow hurt a lot. And Zach Taylor ain't great. And their defense has been awful the last few years. Now, they brought in Dexter Lawrence. You're the expert on that. I got to see Cincinnati put 18, 17 games together before I'm going to all of a sudden think that they're on that Raven level. One thing I know about the Steelers will be, they'll play hard. They'll be in every game. They play well against the Ravens. They beat them twice last year. They play them late in the year. And you want to get on Rodgers? I understand. Rodgers is not the Rodgers. He didn't play badly last year. Wasn't his fault again.
24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
He wasn't his fault again. He played pretty well. He played well.
But we're living in the past. Dog, you just said
too much dip and dunking, though. A lot of his passes, about 72% of his passes was 10 yards or less.
But dog,
that's not a big deal.
You just said we have to see 16, 17 games before we believe in the bank. We don't have time. We're trying to forecast this right now. And look, all right, if we're projecting forward, you just automatically assume that Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to duplicate the performance in 26 he had in 25? Look, once you get that age, things don't just gradually decline. They can fall off a cliff on you. I've been there. I've seen it as a front office person. I've seen it as a player. It can fall off a cliff, and it's not because you wanted to. It's just because Father Time's undefeated, and he's going to win. These teams are very evenly matched, I believe, in the top 3. They all have strengths. They all have weaknesses. I think they've all improved their rosters. The quarterback position, and look, you pointed out the continuity as far as coaching staff is concerned. That is huge. I know a lot of people don't like Zach Taylor. I get it. Especially if they start off slow.
I just think an investigation needs to take place as to what he does in the offseason because his teams are never ready to play in September.
And I understand that, but please, somebody answer to me. Which combination has already been to a Super Bowl? That would be the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's right.
Yeah.
They have the number 1 wide receiver in all of football. There's no experience. I mean, there's no replacement for experience. And that's what the Cincinnati Bengals have. That's what they have over everybody else.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line about Cincinnati Super Bowl was a long time ago now. It was 5 years ago. I understand your point, Taylor and Burrow. Now, if you're going to sit there and the argument is, well, Rodgers at 42 years of age is going to jump off a cliff.
No, I said it could.
Then you're right.
It could happen.
But I'm going to assume it won't.
Okay.
And if I assume it won't, and he plays pretty well, and he played pretty, Lewis, you did the games, he played pretty well there.
He did.
Okay.
He did.
If I expect that same level, could Pittsburgh win the division?
No.
No.
I can't see it. I can't see it.
Well,
I can't see it.
What you would be assuming is, and what you're counting on then is Lamar plays half a season, gets hurt, Joe Burrow plays. Because if those guys are healthy, all things being equal, if they're healthy, he can't match their performance. He's not as good as those guys at this point. He's just not.
So the quarterback issue is the reason why Pittsburgh is 8.5 with the Vegas.
I think that's the differentiator.
While I got y'all on this subject, before we move on, was Mike McCarthy the right pick for this particular job?
That's interesting. Look, I've heard people go back and forth about this. Like, Pittsburgh usually picks a guy who's on the come up, right?
That's right.
And somebody who could be a decade,
Coward,
2 decades
Mike Tomlin,
plus type of guy. So they've deviated from their previous way of doing things. Look, I like Mike. I've known Mike a long time. He was at the University of Pittsburgh when I was there. I don't know. It's a departure from how they usually do things.
Quick 30 seconds.
Yes, I say he was because look at Mike McCarthy's track record. The only one of the big 5 teams in history he hasn't coached at is the Raiders. He's got Pittsburgh, he got San Fran, he's got Green Bay, he's got the Cowboys. Only team he hasn't coached at is the Raiders. So you need a person who can handle the history of what comes with winning at an organization like this.
Well, first off, he's from Pittsburgh. That's a help. And number 2, Rodgers wouldn't be back if he wasn't the coach. They'd have Will Howard at quarterback. So if you go with the idea that it's a team, because Rodgers said the other day, Mike McCarthy had a lot of reasons why I decided to come back. Yeah. And I still think Rodgers got a little something in the tank. So I think as a result of that, I think it's the right call.
I think they're set, though. I think Pittsburgh, I don't want to say under the radar because nothing with Pittsburgh is ever under the radar. but they are set up for the future with this offensive line, skilled players, added some youth on the defensive side of the football. The quarterback piece is really the one that they got to get right, but we've been talking about that forever.
The problem that I have with what you're saying there is that we've been saying the quarterback piece
for
over 6 years. I mean, damn. Find somebody. I mean, y'all get paid. Those of y'all who don't play, you get paid to make these decisions. Find a damn quarterback. And they haven't been able to do that in many, many years. No doubt about that. We got to move on. Coming up.